You do not need to quit your job to start an OT business. I didn't. You don't have to either. And I know feeling like you must quit your job can be a really big barrier to getting started. So today I'm breaking down 3 OT business models you can launch this year. And for each one, I'm going to tell you exactly who it's for, why it works, and where to start. So let's get into it. Hi, I'm Dr. Brandy Archie, occupational therapist and founder at AskSAMIE, where we help people get the right adaptive equipment, resources, and services like OT to make it safe and possible to live at home. I say all that intentionally because what AskSAMIE does has a business model that is hybrid with OT services and adaptive equipment sales. So keep that in mind as we go through 3 other business models. We also recognize that OTs needed different tools to get the most out of AskSAMIE for their patients, which is why we created OT Connected by AskSAMIE. If you've been watching the series, you know I've been talking about what it looks like when you've outgrown the traditional OT path and you're ready for something different. And today we're getting practical. 3 models, 3 starting points, and none of them require you to hand in your resignation letter tomorrow. Now, before we get into the models, I need to address this thing that stops most of us before we even start. This belief that entrepreneurship means you have to take a giant leap, that you got to quit your job, drain your savings, go all in on day one. That is not how most successful OT businesses start. Most of them start on the side, weekends, days off, in the margins of a full-time schedule. They start small, they build momentum, and eventually the side thing grows enough that the full-time thing can become optional. So I don't want you watching this video thinking that sounds amazing, but I can't afford to leave my job. You don't have to leave your job right now. You just have to start building alongside it. Every model I'm about to show you can begin while you're still employed with baby steps, and that's by design. So let's do model number 1. First one is cash pay private practice. And this is probably the one most of you have already been thinking about. It's the closest to what you're probably already doing. So who it's for? It's for the OTs who want to work directly with clients on their own terms, choosing your caseload, your schedule, your specialty area, your rate, no insurance, no productivity unit. It's just you and your clinical expertise and a client who's paying you directly for the value you provide. This works especially well if you have experience in a population that has a clear out-of-pocket demand. Maybe hand therapy, pediatric feeding, driver rehabilitation. If you've been specializing in something clinically, cash pay private practice is how you turn that specialization into a business. Cash pay eliminates our biggest headache in traditional practice, which is insurance billing. Prior authorizations, claim denials, reimbursement delays, all the stuff that comes with insurance. Your client pays you, you deliver the service, transaction is clean, relationship is direct, you control the pricing, and it tells you if the demand is real. There are millions of people who need OT type services and either don't have insurance coverage for it, have exhausted their visits, or simply want a higher quality, more personalized experience than what they're getting through the traditional system. So, where to start? Here are your first 3 steps. Step number 1, pick a niche. Not I do everything. I know OTs can do everything. But for this, you got to pick one population, one problem, one clear offer. The more specific you are, the easier it is to market yourself and the easier it is for clients to understand why they need you. Step number 2 is set your rate using real math, not your feelings. If you watched last week's video on pricing, you already have the framework. If you have not, you should go watch it after this. I'll link it. Okay, step number 3, find your first client. Not your 10th, just your first. That might come from a referral. Maybe it comes from a connection at your current job. It might come from putting yourself out there in your community. But the goal is one client served excellently. Everything else gets built from there. I want to tell you about Kristen. She saw a need in her community for driving rehabilitation. Super specific, but it came up because she was building her private practice and she kept running into clients that needed this service. And it was hard to access in her area. So she got her certification and started driving rehab. And over time, as referring partners started finding out, she grew much more quickly than she was for her original aging in place model. The benefit of driving rehab is even though it may be with an older adult on Medicare, it's not a covered service, so it can be cash pay. And every other place is also cash pay in the market, so this is expected by your consumer. That kind of insight is exactly what the practice launch roadmap inside of OT Connected is designed to help you do. You tell it what you want to build, in this case, a cash pay private practice, and it gives you every step in order. No guessing, no doing things out of sequence, just a clear path from where you are to where you want to be. Okay, model 2 is chronic condition health coaching. And this is the one I think more OTs need to be paying attention to. This is for OTs who want to work with people managing chronic conditions. You thinking about diabetes or heart disease, COPD, arthritis, chronic pain, obesity. There's a long list. You're wanting to help them build better daily habits, routines, and functional strategies that actually improve their quality of life for the long term. If you think about what OTs are trained to do, activity analysis, habit formation, energy conservation, adaptive strategies, all that good stuff, that is exactly what chronic condition management requires. We are uniquely qualified to do this work as OTPs. The healthcare system just hasn't fully caught up to that yet, but it is working on it really fast, actually. Here's what's happening in healthcare that makes this model so timely. The system is shifting towards value-based care. Payers and health systems are increasingly being rewarded for keeping people healthy and out of the hospital, not just treating them when they're sick. And chronic conditions are the single biggest driver of healthcare costs in the country. That means there is growing demand and growing funding for professionals who can help people manage chronic conditions at home, in their daily lives through sustainable behavior change. Literally our wheelhouse. That is what occupational therapy actually is. Bad part is most people don't know that OTs do this. Health coaching models, remote patient monitoring, chronic care management programs, they're all expanding, and OTs are the right clinician to be positioned to lead in this space, but we definitely have to step into it. So here's where to start. Step number 1, pick a chronic condition population that aligns with your clinical expertise. If you've been working in acute or home health, you've already been treating people with these conditions. This isn't new clinical territory. Step number 2 is research the delivery models. You could do it by health coaching, which can be delivered in person, virtually, or hybrid. Some OTs are building independent coaching practices. Others are contracting with health systems or employers who need this service. The flexibility is part of what makes the model work as a side build. Then step number 3, stay ahead of the curve on what's changing. And I mean this really seriously. The landscape around this reimbursement for chronic care and value-based care programs and remote monitoring is really evolving quickly from a federal level. Mapping a business model towards a strategic change happening in healthcare today only works if you're staying current on what's new. That's actually one of the reasons we built our weekly newsletter. It surfaces exactly these kinds of opportunities, policy changes, funding shifts, emerging models, so you're not Googling for hours trying to figure out what's happening. It comes to you curated and broken down in the context on what it means for you who's building. I think OTs are sleeping on this model. We have the training, we have the clinical lens, we're the most effective, and the market is literally moving in our direction, but kind of without us. The OTs who position themselves here now are going to be the ones leading in this space in the next 5 years. All you need to do is log into otconnected.com. We send our emails regularly as things happen, so you'll be up to date. All right, model number 3 is specialty consulting. And this is for the OTPs who have deep expertise in a specific area and want to monetize that knowledge beyond direct patient care. This is a one-to-many approach. It's for the experienced OTP who's typically a person who's been practicing for several years, has real depth in a niche, and it could be anything. Maybe it's aging in place. Maybe you know work comp inside and out. Maybe you've spent a decade in ergonomics or pediatric feeding or assistive technology or home mods. Consulting lets you take that expertise and package it into a service that doesn't require you to actually treat the patients one at a time. Instead, you're advising, training, evaluating, building systems for organizations or businesses or other professionals so they can do the work. Consulting scales in a way that direct patient care just cannot. When you're treating clients one-on-one, your income is directly tied to your hours. There is a ceiling. You can only work so many hours. Consulting breaks that ceiling because you can work with organizations, deliver trainings to groups, create frameworks that get implemented across teams, or provide expertise on a project basis. And there is a bunch of demand. Here are a few examples of how OT consulting niches that could be active for you right now. Aging in place consulting. You can work with builders, remodelers, real estate agents, families to assess and modify homes for safety and accessibility. Ergonomic consulting. Work with companies to assess workstations, reduce risk, improve employee wellness. Pediatric feeding consulting. You can advise schools, daycares, pediatric practices on mealtime safety and intervention strategies. Assistive technology consulting is huge. You can help these health tech organizations select and implement the right adaptive tools and also build them in a way that works well. If you have deep knowledge in the clinical area, there's likely a consulting model that fits. So, The place to start is step number 1. Define your consulting offer. Not, I consult on OT stuff. What specific problem do you solve for whom, and what does that deliverable look like? Is it a home safety report? Is it a workplace ergonomic audit? Is it a training curriculum for caregiving staff? Whatever it is, just be specific. Number 2 is identify your buyer. In consulting, your client is often not the patient, it's an organization or business. Knowing who writes the check changes how you market yourself and how you talk about what you do. Step number 3, build your credibility materials. A consulting client is hiring your expertise, and they need to see that reflected in how you present yourself. So it's your website, your handouts, your reports, your proposals, all need to look professional, unified, polished. This is where OT Connected can come in. If you know a lot about aging in place or ergonomics or pediatric feeding, you can package that into a consulting offer, but you need to look the part day one. Our handout builder lets you create branded, professional materials, and the branding settings let you customize everything with your logo. And you can build an AskSAMIE profile, giving you built-in visibility so potential clients can find you. OT Connected gives you the tools to look like the established expert you already are, even if you're just starting the consulting side of your business. The thing that surprises most OTs about consulting is how much their expertise is actually worth outside of the clinical setting. You've been giving away this knowledge inside a system that pays you by the unit. In consulting, you're paid for what you know, and what you know is actually worth a lot. So let me bring it all together. 3 models we talked about today: cash pay private practice, chronic condition health coaching, specialty consulting. All 3 can be started while you're still employed. All 3 build on clinical skills you already have. And all 3 are supported inside OT Connected. The free tier gives you access to the community and to the handout builder. The premium and pro tiers give you everything else, but branding on the handout, office hours with me, continuing education, partner tools, practice launch, and your bookable AskSAMIE profile. So go to OT Connected right now, create your free account, and get going on what you need to do. And if you haven't seen last week's video where I did a full demo of the client handout builder showing you how to create a branded professional handout in under 5 minutes, go watch that next. I'll link it right here. Drop a comment and tell me which model you're most interested in. Is it the cash pay private practice, chronic condition coaching, specialty consulting, or something else? I want to know what you're learning, and I'll definitely respond. So subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you next week.